So in terms of trends that I'm really watching, I think the big migration this year is around the real-time bidding story and how it's evolving to become the real-time buying story. So the traditional way of thinking about ad exchanges and RTB is as a bid-based real-time marketplace, and essentially that's it. And it's evolving to become something a lot more, I don't want to say strategic exactly, but it's becoming bigger in scope. I think that's a better way to think about it. The rise of the concept of private marketplaces, direct deals between buyers and sellers that are transacted through automated mechanisms is a perfect example of this. It's still really early days. The activity levels are still relatively low when you really dig into it, but the interest is really, really high. I think another really interesting trend is around the adoption of these techniques by brand advertisers. When you look at companies like Kellogg, which is a big CPG company, getting up on stage and talking about how a significant amount of their budget is now spent in digital through programmatic mechanisms, that's a really interesting trend to pay attention to. When you see video advertising going programmatic, that's also a really meaningful trend when it comes to brand expenditure. So in terms of the technology landscape with respect to video advertising, in particular programmatic video advertising, which I tend to pay a little more attention to, I think that the companies that have legs are companies that are either incredibly good at something very specific that is a needed component of the transaction, and then they get acquired, or they go in a different direction and they acquire and become broader in scope. It's really all about reaching audiences wherever they are these days. This is the sort of buzzy thing that everybody's talking about. So you see companies like Videology, for example, acquiring companies like Lucid Media and becoming multi-channel kinds of platforms. They're also in the mobile space now too. That is interesting to me. From an acquisition standpoint, I'm curious to see if you'll see more acquisition from more traditional buying platforms into the video space.